Welcome to this week's episode of Success in Women. I'm Linda.
I'm Andrea.
And today we're going to talk about aging.
Ew.
Yeah. Well, as you can see, Andrea, we're already getting up there and
Slowly.
and we want to slow that process down.
Exactly.
Because we plan to live a ripe old age, and the way to do it is to change your attitude.
Exactly.
So because Andrea and I both have places in Florida, we see a lot of I'm going to say, retired people in Florida. There's a lot of people there that live full time, but also the snowbirds that come.
Snowbirds, yeah.
And they're still coming well into their 80s.
Oh, yes. 80s, 90s. And I mean, you're on the golf course and you see a lot of the ladies. But at our community center, we have a lot of parties. And when I first started going there, because my experience with elderly were nursing homes and people at home in wheelchairs and walkers. And yes, there are some that are there because of physical problems, but some elderlies just say, I'm old. I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to do this. That's not for me. So they think old. They think that they're aging. Whereas in Florida, I saw these people at our dances, like 85-year-old women, 90-year-old women, makeup, jewelry, dressed to the nines, dancing better than we were. We were like, I got to sit down. They're like, come on, having a great time, living their best life. And I thought, that's what I want. And that was inspiring to me and encouraged me to think differently about aging, that it's not all about, getting old and
Downhill.
going downhill. I thought, I'm going to start thinking differently. And I did. I changed my attitude and I thought, I'm going to think younger. I'm going to plan ahead, have things planned for the future, cruises, trips, and of course my place in Florida. And it really works because you don't think about, like I hear a lot of times my friends, or even myself before, you forget something or you don't remember where you put something, you think, getting old sucks. Well, hello, I didn't forget things when I was younger. I think I forgot more, but you didn't associate it with aging. Now that's what we do. You get an ache, a pain, getting old sucks. Well, no, it happened your whole life. I've got scars all over my body to prove it. The falling, the scraping, the hurting. So it's not just an aging thing. Stop thinking that way.
Exactly. And I was going to say, it's a good thing. When you're talking about that, what seeds are you planting? You're not supposed to be planting the seeds of getting old, and getting old sucks. It's like you're maturing and growing as a person, but you don't have to be an old person. It's interesting, but there's some people that would be in their 50s and 60s and they act like they're 100. And yet there's people that's close to 100 acting like they're 60 or 70.
Well, we have Eddie's aunt in Italy. She's 101.
Oh,
she walks around the house on her cell phone.
Wow.
When we were there 2 years ago, she was making us gnocchi.
Oh, my God.
We FaceTime her. She's laughing, having fun. I'm thinking, so you can live a good life and healthy, fun life, even at 100 years old.
Well, I read a lot of stuff, and one of the things that I got into a few years ago was what they call the Blue Zone. And the Blue Zone is areas around the world where people on average live to be 100 and beyond. And part of what they've discovered in these blue zones, and I'm not sure about Florida, but they definitely have a blue zone in California, Costa Rica, in Greece, in Japan. Yeah. There's a number of places.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what they found is that one of the things that help people to stay young for a long time is the fact that they have social connections. Mm-hmm. And that's why in Florida, when you go to the clubhouse and people are there, people socialize a lot more. And you need people in your life in order to stay young. And it's also why I've heard many years ago is that you want to be in areas where there's all ages.
Right.
You don't necessarily want to be the youngest in an oldest community because then you got all these older people around that are acting old and dying off, and it's depressing.
Yeah.
And what you want to be is in a community with young people and your own age and older people, because those older people living in an area with you and other younger people, they're an inspiration for the younger people to know that when they're getting older, it's only a number.
That's right.
And that number is so different for everybody, because if you're 100 and acting like you're 60 and doing things,
You're right.
wow.
People have no idea
Yeah.
that you're 100. Exactly.
You know, I have this friend and he's in his 80s, and because he's so active, I can't see him as an 80-something-year-old, okay? It's kind of like, I can't believe he's getting onto that decade of pushing into the 90s, because
Right.
he acts like he's still in his 60s.
Right.
And
Like a
it's-
lot of our friends in Florida.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, you know, we have all ages in Florida, but those older ones don't feel and act like they're old.
That's right. And that's what I find. There's that you know, like they say, aging is a privilege not everyone gets to do. So enjoy getting older, but think younger. Do have your brain active, be involved in groups, read, you know, study different things, learn a new language.
Exactly.
Pick up a guitar and learn how to play guitar, if that's an interest that you had when you were younger and never got to do. And for me, it's reading. I love to read, and I love to do puzzles. So those things get the brain going. And then, of course, planning. We always plan a cruise. We plan trips. And that in itself gets your brain active. And then you're looking forward to something. You're not thinking about, oh, I'm too old to do this. And actually, I was talking to my friend yesterday who was feeling kind of down. And she's in her 80s. But I said, she said, oh, I don't know if I'll be in Florida next year. I said, don't even say that. Say you're going to be, and
Yes.
start planning. And the following year, we have a big milestone party going on here. I said, remember, you're coming to that. So your brain will say, well, I have to keep her alive
Yep.
because we've got this thing planned, and I plan to make sure she's there. That's what we have to do. We have to plan and keep yourself busy and active.
So yesterday I was out, and while I was out, I met this lady who, up until 6 months ago, was still driving, and she's 4 months away from being 93 years old.
Wow.
And she doesn't she lives alone, and she doesn't let anything keep her sort of down. She goes out, she still is very active, doing a lot of stuff. And if you talk to her, it's like talking to somebody your own age. I mean, she was amazing to talk to. And she was reading a book, actually not a book I would read, but I said, it's a book my mother would read, because it's more the mysteries, kidnapping and criminal stuff and all the things. I like happy stuff.
Yeah.
And, but you know, she's just reading to keep herself and her mind sharp. But it was so inspiring to talk to a lady like that. And I said to her, I said, oh, so I guess you got to, you know, because she was living alone. I said, I guess you were doing your own cooking. She goes, yeah, and I don't like it. Her husband passed away recently, and I guess he did a lot of the cooking.
Oh, lucky her.
Yeah. But it was interesting how inspiring her outlook and attitude was. And she literally never talked like she was an old person.
Beautiful.
And she looked actually pretty good. I was shocked.
Right.
Really,
Right.
that, you know, she's going to be 93 very shortly. And it was funny, though, because her friend that was also at this place where we all met kept saying, look at her, look how, and she was keeping her spot clean around her. And she only walks with a cane, not with a walk or anything.
Wow.
But she didn't use the cane when she was just cleaning up her area and stuff like that. And her friend kept saying, she's 95, she's 90. And I told her, I said, your friend thinks you're 95. You got to tell her to stop aging you. You're going to get there soon enough. But, you know, she just had such a great, happy attitude about being alive.
Right.
And being out with people.
See, and that's the thing. Like, I remember my mom, she was always outgoing, always fun and active. And when my father passed away, just before that, she had a mini stroke. She was fine. She could walk and do things. But when my father died, everything changed. She got down. She didn't want to do things. She didn't want to go out. I remember we had a big, 80th birthday party for her in the backyard. She didn't even want to go out when she saw everybody. 10 years or 5 years before that, she would have been the life of the party. She would have ran out there. Where's my beer? Let's have fun. Things changed. And from that moment, she went downhill. And shortly after, she ended up passing away because she wasn't happy. She was sitting in her bed, depressed. And I'd say, come on, Mom, let's go downstairs and do some baking. Oh, no, I'm not up to it.
And she loved to do that.
I loved it.
Yeah.
So you can't let things like that get you down unless you're just giving up.
And that, is a hard part, because when people give up, unless they want to get help, you can't do anything for those people.
No.
But all that we start seeing is that they start going downhill. Like my mother 2 years ago, I mean, no issue. My mother's 91, going to be 91.
No, I think
in a week and a half,
June,
I think.
Yeah.
Her birthday's on the 16th, and she'll be 91. But in the last year or so, she's gone from walking independently, using a cane, and when she was living on her own up until last September, she would walk across the street to the mall with just her cane. Then all of a sudden now, because she fell, she's using the walker, to the point now where she's having issues with her walker because she doesn't want to even do any kind of exercise to get her strength back.
Oh.
And now we're going to have to get her a wheelchair.
Wow.
And really, for me, because my mother, she not just looks young, but she used to have a young spirit, that I would have thought my mother would have been like young right up until she's 100.
And she's healthy, your mom.
And my mother's healthy.
Very healthy,
Overall, she's very healthy, but physically, she's getting weaker. And being that way, she's getting where she doesn't want to do anything anymore. She lives in a retirement home where they have activities.
She's accepting that she's old and she can't. She's thinking to herself,
what it is.
well, it's my age. I might as well accept it. And instead of saying, I'm only 91. Come on, let's get this fixed. Let's get some therapy. And like I said, if it was a disease or she was unhealthy, that's a different story. But when it's something that maybe if she did some physio, she could get some strength back, that's different.
Even with the physio, my older sister tried to get her to go to physio, and she goes, I don't want to go anymore. And then she goes, well, I know the exercises that, I have to do. But the fact is, she's not doing them. And so we're in the process of trying to get her a wheelchair. But then what we realized is that because she won't even do with little light weights, it's one thing to keep your mind active, but you have to keep your body active. And, your body will seize up if you don't move it. You will lose it. And this is what's happening with my mom. And so what's happening now is that we can't get her a regular wheelchair. We're going to have to get her a motorized one because she will not have the strength to wheel. Certain areas in her apartment is carpeted. And of course, in the home that she lives in, there's carpeting.
Wow.
And so it's kind of like, well, then she'll never leave her apartment if we get her a wheelchair, because she'll say it's too much effort.
Yeah, she can't move it herself.
No, and so now she's going to have to relearn how to, I'll say, run or utilize, or however you say that, with a motorized one, because it takes some maneuvering. And hopefully she doesn't crash into a wall. But maybe once she's in the wheelchair, maybe she'll start to participate a lot more and get her attitude back.
Right.
Because where she's living, there's people much older than her that are actually a lot younger in their spirit. And so they're keeping not just their mind, but their body's healthier, where they're a lot more active.
Right.
But it really is a state of mind. What is it you want? Do you want to enjoy your life and be able to do a lot of things well into being 90 and 100 years old? Or do you want to just give up because people and society tell you you're old?
Exactly.
And it's time to just wait. Waiting for God. There was a story, I think it was a British sitcom called Waiting for God. And they put all these old people in this place, and it's kind of like their families threw them out to pasture. It's not the same anymore. These retirement homes are so active, and you get to come and go and do whatever you like, but it's to keep you young and keep you engaged with other people so that your spirit will not just disappear. Because
yeah,
when you're alone, and I know people that live on their own and they're older, they have no life left, because sometimes they'll go weeks, they say, without talking to anybody.
Ooh.
And how can you live and feel like life is worth living as you age if you're not surrounded by people and a support group like that?
We all probably got a taste of that with these COVID lockdowns, being alone and how it isolates you. And hopefully a lot of the, children of aging parents realize that you really need to stay in touch with your parents and make sure they have what they need, and to socialize, spend some time with them, take them for a drive. When I used to go up to my mom's, I would say, come on, let's get in the car, and we'd go for Dairy Queen. Or one time we went and found all her friends that were still alive and where they were living, and we visited about 4 of them that day. And at first she was like, I don't know. I said, come on, get in the car, I don't want to sit here all day, so we did. And it perked her up, so and I felt good about taking that time. And I have a lot of sisters, and they were around there, so I knew she was always having company.
But keeping a good attitude towards aging and not looking at it as something that's really bad. We're all going to get there, whatever. And like you said, it's kind of a privilege to get old, because I remember in the old days, a lot of people, really, they just died.
Yeah.
Some people got their first pension check or didn't even get it and passed.
Well, that's what I also say to my husband. I say, don't fully retire.
Yeah.
Because I find that happened like with my father when he retired. They don't know what to do with themselves.
Yes.
They've been busy every day. They think about work, getting up for work the next day. And all of a sudden that's gone. And if they don't have a really good hobby that keeps them occupied, they sit in front of the TV all day.
Yeah.
The couch potato.
Yeah.
And a lot of women complain, well, my husband retired, he just sits there all day. And that's one thing I always try to tell a lot of the men, or even women like yourself that have worked your whole entire life, to stay part-time after, or keep your fingers in it, like to keep the brain going, and that you don't just become a couch potato and let the body age.
Right. And one of the things about you, Andrea, is that whether her husband wants to or not, sometimes she just said, no, we're doing this. So whether it's a vacation or going to some social event, social event that, they got invited to, and he might say, oh, no, you go, I don't want to go, I'm going to,
like
stay
yesterday.
Home. Yeah. But you got him there.
Yeah.
And the point is, it's important that people are around other people and you stay engaged in life, because once you start taking yourself out of the picture, you will start to age very quickly.
Yes. And then people forget about you too if you're always refusing to participate in activities.
We had a common friend in Florida, and he lost his partner, and he started to give up. And he was in his 70s, but he started to give up. He didn't want to go to parties. He didn't want to go to even just going to dinners with friends. And then eventually his friends stopped inviting him. But he eventually just died of a heartache, because it wasn't that long after. He was lonely, but he took himself out. He had a hard time to deal with the grief. And again, that's another thing.
And who would have thought, because he looked young, he acted young the whole time his partner was alive. And then
kept himself busy. He never fully retired. He was involved in many things. But then all of a sudden, it was just, he gave up on life. And we know that it's hard, when you're dealing with
partner.
And they were together a long time, but you have to get over the grief and you have to be able to be there for the rest of your family, but also for your friends that love you.
Yeah.
And they miss you when you don't, I'll say participate in some of the things that they want. But also they get frustrated and they stop inviting you just because it's like they feel that you don't want to be around them anymore.
Part of it,
Yeah, you don't want to be part of it. Aging can be so much fun.
It is. It can be, and we see it,
and we do see it. We do see it.
and we're going to do it.
Yes, yes. And as old as we are, we're always going to be older. So we're always going to be as youngest today as we'll ever be. And so we stay thinking young because we are young.
Exactly.
In here.
In here, heart and mind.
Yep,
Yes.
yep. So we just want to make sure, ladies, because life isn't over at a certain age.
That's
It's
right.
also one of the things when Andrea mentions about never really retiring, because if you retire, you might be retiring from life. We don't want you to do that. So if you have a job that you're passionate about or a hobby, take it further, because you might retire from the traditional job, but going into something else. And this is for Andrea and us.
Yeah.
Andrea and I, this is our transition into a retirement job that we can take into many, many years. And hopefully we're still talking to you when we do celebrate our 100th birthday.
Exactly.
And it would be a lot of fun to celebrate with
Yes.
you. But, it all starts with your mind, your body, and what you do. Your attitude has to be there. And having an attitude of gratitude every day that you're given a gift is a good thing to keep you aging younger.
Right.
We're reversing. Remember that.
That's right.
Yes. And you can do it too. Stay natural, stay
Stay young.
healthy, stay happy, stay young.
Young.
Yeah.
Okay, ladies.
I'm Linda.
I'm Andrea.
And until next week, we want you to
Like
share,
and please subscribe.
please. We can't do it without you.
Right.
Until next time.
Bye, ladies.
Bye.